All right. What's up, everybody? It's Keefe, and you're watching another edition of Ghost Cult Magazine's The Weekly Ritual, our rock and metal news show, pop culture, tour dates, festival news, major stories in music, all the things. We're here streaming live across the whole interweb. Awesome stuff. Thanks for being here. First and foremost, we appreciate you. Good that you're here. Hello, Brooklyn Miss. Hello, Scooter. All the regulars are showing up on IG. As I like to say every week, the best place to enjoy this show is either Twitch or YouTube. You can definitely give us a super chat or a thanks on YouTube. No contests or games or drinking games this week. I got stuff to do after this show, so I can't get too wrecked. But, thanks for being here. We do this every week, and we can't do it without you. So thanks. We'll get started in one more second. I'm going to take a sip of this seltzer. Sostra is here. I hope I said your band name correctly. Your new album rules. We were highlighting that this week with a review. And great to be here. And of course, anybody who gives us a super chat or a thanks, I'll be happy to answer your questions about anything in the world of rock and metal. But we give a little priority to those who have donated here at home at the Ghost Cult HQ. So we will get started. Just to give you a little bit of the lay of the land, let me run my little ticker. The layout of the show, we make some announcements, talk about any major positive or negative things that have happened in the world. We detail all the festival news that has popped up this week or stuff upcoming soon. A huge amount of tour dates the last few weeks are getting announced for later this year. Tours and festivals galore. Then we run down the top stories in rock and metal, all genres, not limited to anything, but we try to keep it interesting. And then I usually bust out something fun from my mailbag, something I got in the mail, something from my collection, something a band sent me. This week, it's a vinyl. Stay tuned to see what that is. And then we send you all home with some platitudes as we head into the weekend. So super cool that you're here. I'm really glad you're here with me. So first things first, I will minimize myself to the corner. Nobody puts baby in the corner, but sometimes I put Keefe in the corner and I talk in the third person like a Nimrod, because why not? Sometimes it's fun. I also have a beer. I do have a beer here. No shots though, but I am finishing off my beer from my recent just ended podcast. So cheers to everybody. Captain Howdy 666 on TikTok asks, is that a Testament banner? It is a Testament banner. Thank you very much. And this other banner over my shoulder is from the band Capra. They sent that to me personally. I think I bought this Testament banner from Brotherhood of the Snake at a show a while back. When I still lived in New York, I saw Testament at the Paramount Theater on Long Island with a bunch of my homies. Testament, I think it was Sepultura. It was an amazing show. And we interviewed all the bands. You can see some of that's here on YouTube. And I bought this Testament banner, for some set decoration here. I'm a fan of, I'm an older guy, but I still have my banners and my posters and my tickets and my flags and my stuff. And you see my Funkos, depending on where you're watching this. So thanks for being here. The first order of business, it'd be good if I had my my clicker here so I could actually run the slideshow. That's helpful. All right. First order of business. Happy birthday to Ghost Cult Magazine's favorite leprechaun, Omar Cordy, is 1,000,000 years old today. Not really. I think he's in his mid-40s. Omar is the producer of all our video content. He is my hetero life mate. Cheers and happy birthday, Omar. If you're watching this, you can see a picture of him. Contemplative Omar. If you guys give us some money in the super chat, we can buy some lotion for his ashy knees. I'm disgraced by these ashy knees, but hey, this is not my photo shoot. This is his photo on social media. It's not my problem. But he needs some help with those ashy knees. And and there's a picture of us playing in our band, Salted Wounds. You could actually see people like, did you ever do anything in music beside journalism? I used to play in bands for a very long time in the New York City area. And so there's a picture here next to his little birthday image of him. There's a picture of him on the drums, myself on the bass, and shout out to my homies Fahad and Mike on the guitar and Mike Rafode, respectively. So yeah. Then on to some sad news. We got some sad news to kick this out off this week, you know. You switched it up. All right, Brooklyn Miss is now over on the TikTok. Thank you, Brooklyn Miss. You're a super supporter. We really appreciate you. A bunch of losses in the music world this week. There's a few others, but I got a handful here that are central to rock and metal. There's a couple of others, people that also passed away. Louis Largent, if you're of a certain age and you remember 120 Minutes on MTV, I know they don't play music anymore and have not for a long time. Louis Largent was the director of programming, and he ended up graduating to on-air talent. And so he was, you know, one of the original MTV hosts of 120 Minutes. I think he used to fill in for Headbangers Ball. He might have been involved in some of the programming of Headbangers Ball, much to Ricky Rackman's chagrin, our homie. But yeah, apparently Louis Largent was ill for a long time. He was 58 and he passed away this week. Very sad. This last weekend, actually. Couple other losses in the metal and rock world. You know, just Jimmy Durkin of Dark Angel died. He was a co-founder of the band. He had kind of stepped back from performing, and the band has a huge amount of performances coming up this year and a new album perhaps on the way that Jim helped write, but he passed away. There was no information about how he passed, but it's just very sad. There's a GoFundMe. We'll link that in the description where you can donate. They're trying to raise money for funeral expenses and other things. You know, a lot of these middle-aged musicians, there's no health insurance, there's no life insurance. It's just very hard, you know? It's hard out there. And then also, you know, Joshua Madison, formerly of Artillery, the legendary thrash metal band from Europe, passed away. He had left Artillery, he started a new band, and he was coming home from his new band rehearsal ahead of some shows they have, and he was hit by a bus. Horrible. Absolutely horrible. Just super sad. And, you know, what can you say? Digital Bath 81 is here. What is up? Great name. I'm a fan. And, you know, just very tragic. Life is fleeting. Hug your loved ones. See your favorite bands. Tell people you care about them. Tomorrow is not promised. And I don't think there's anything after this. So this is the life you have, to quote my favorite Living Color song. Alrighty. Moving on to the features this week at Ghost Cult. We had a humongous week, and I want to thank everybody for the support. Some of you may be here because you checked out our videos on YouTube. That's where the driver of a lot of our subscribers comes from, beside our website, ghostcultmag.com. I got to interview Mickey D of Motorhead. Why am I talking to Mickey D? He's also in Scorpions now. Obviously, Motorhead is defunct since Lemmy passed away. Motorhead has a new version of their final album, Bad Magic, out now called Seriously Bad Magic. It came with 2 unreleased singles, never before heard, a whole live concert. If you buy the vinyl deluxe edition, there's a full hour-long interview with Lemmy that has never been heard before, and a whole bunch of other cool stuff. And, you know, Mickey's been doing the rounds. He's been doing a lot of interviews and quoted a lot in the press on places like Blabbermouth and Loudwire. And I'm not dogging them. They're huge and we're not. But he took the opportunity in our interview to kind of refute some of the things that are being said about the band and correct some misinformation. So it's definitely, and if you love Motorhead, it's definitely an interview you don't want to miss. My dude is salty, and with good reason. I think people have been taking some things he said out of context. And he's very sensitive about this. He's very sensitive. A lot of interesting stuff in there. A lot of stuff I don't think he's ever talked about. And I think just happened to be the mood he was in for chatting. So I feel grateful that I got to interview one of my heroes. And I got to interview another one of my heroes, Billy Sheehan. This photo is by our dude, Chris Small, who just caught the band and reviewed their live show in New Hampshire. But this is Billy Sheehan from the Winery Dogs and from Sons of Apollo, and he used to play with David Lee Roth, and he's been in a million projects. And he talked about the new Winery Dogs album 3. They launched their own record label. He talked about his long career. We were talking about his session work, which is off the charts. The reports of how many albums he's been on is conservative, to say the least. And we had a really fun chat. He's a really great guy. I looked up to him. I played bass for many years in bands and nearly broke my hands trying to do all the weird, unorthodox playing that Billy does. And I did it kind of poorly, but I'm proud of me. And it's just a thrill to chat with these heroes and legends. But, we're not all about the old guard. We talk to a lot of we talk to a lot of legends. We talk to a lot of modern bands. So we also ran our interview this week with Storm Ruler. I wouldn't want to meet these guys in an alley with their swords and their grim faces. Storm Ruler is a black metal band, 2-piece black metal band from St. Louis, which has a tremendous metal scene. I don't know if you know, between Stoner Doom and black metal and black and thrash. There's a ton of killer bands down there. And, we had a really fun chat with the band. They are on tour right now in Europe. My European friends, go see them open. Get there early and see them. They are opening for Cannibal Corpse, Dark Funeral, and Ingested, plus Storm Ruler. What an incredible lineup of death metal and black metal. Just unbelievable. Probably one of the best tours of the spring in Europe. Also, we have a podcast, the Ghost Cult Magazine podcast, and we we run some exclusive stuff there at the podcast, but we also use the podcast to run our other interviews that have been here on the channel in their unedited form sometimes. So we had an exclusive interview earlier in the year with Obituary. They released their brand new album, Dying of Everything, and our birthday boy, Omar Cordy, interviewed the band. He interviewed both John and Don Tardy. They rarely do interviews together, but we got the gift of getting Omar to chat with both of them, and they talked all about the new album and a bunch of other stuff. And you can check that out here at the channel in YouTube form, but also at the Ghost Cult Magazine podcast. This show will also be a podcast over the weekend after the episode processes, and we can upload it to Spotify and all the things, Google Podcast, wherever the things are. Oh, we might have some comments here on YouTube. Let's see. Yo, all right, cool. Thanks. Thank you, Captain Howdy. Thanks for being here for the full experience on YouTube. Much appreciated, man. Much appreciated. Thank you. I'll keep an eye on my comments here on the comment stream. We're also on Twitch. If you guys are Twitchers, Joaquin Carcass is here. My homie, how are you? Good to see you, friend. Thanks for being here for the weekly Ritual Rock and Metal News Show. That's what we do here. So once again, we have the Ghost Cult podcast. Another podcast you see here at Ghost Cult is the Heavy Business Podcast, brought to you by C-Squared Marketing. We support that podcast. I am a guest on that podcast tomorrow. So the newest episode that is uploading probably overnight has me as a guest. And I talk all about, if you got a band or a DIY website like Ghost Cult or whatever you do, how to rock at social media video, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. You see us, Twitch. We're on all the things. I give actual practical advice. In addition to being a music expert, I am also a social media expert. I work in marketing and social media as a day job. And so I've worked with a lot of music industry professionals. I worked in the business a long time. So hopefully my knowledge is helpful if you have a band. Instant Cool is here. I hope I'm instantly cool because you're here, Instant Cool. Moving right along, we also have the Glacially Musical podcast. Instead of the logo this week, because there'll be a link in the description anyway, we are continuing our series on Baroness. I am the co-host of the Glacially Musical podcast with my homeboy and partner in crime, Nick Cameron. He is amazing. And we are on our third episode of the series detailing the Baroness discography, mainly the full-length albums. And so we did a deep dive on Yellow and Green. That's going to go up overnight. I'll link it in the description as well. Shout out to my boy Nick Cameron. And if you like what we do over there, or if you like what we do here, go give them a follow and a sub. We could use the attention. We like it. All kinds of fun stuff coming up on the pod. I went to see Black Sabbath, the all-female Black Sabbath cover band made up of pretty rockin' famous people from other bands, and the guitar player of that band is Emily Burton, who was a guest on the Glacially Musical podcast, and got this hat there. They played an incredible show. Womanowar opened, or Womanowar. I'm not a big Manowar fan, but it's a fun time to see this incredible tribute to Manowar. And again, cheers to Black Sabbath. If you get a chance to go see them, go see them. Incredible performance. And Emily recognized me and talked to me about being a guest on our show, which was really fun. Thank you. Purple is also my favorite Baroness record, and we'll be doing that next week. I'm super stoked. So on to the festival news. I totally could... I do have some little chyrons here if I want to. This is the beginning of the news rundown. And then we click on to the festival news. And so Aftershock This is going to be a bunch of festivals, and I'm going to try to bang through these festivals and tours. There's a ton of them. This will likely take up the majority of the show, to be honest. So if this piques your interest and you go to shows, this is for you. Aftershock announced their full lineup. We had already known about Guns N' Roses, and they now announced Avenged Sevenfold, Tool, and Korn as the other headliners. Incubus, Turnstile, Godsmack, Limp Bizkit, Pantera, 311, Queens of the Stone Age coming back to do a lot of festivals, and Rancid and a bunch of other bands. I went last year. I went the last few years. We covered it last year. We've covered it a lot in the past, so I imagine we'll be back. And was a fun time, and I'll get to wear my fun Hawaiian shirt and interview bands again. So good for me, and good for the fans. Just an update on the Milwaukee Metal Fest. They added another batch of bands and dropped their day splits. So this is if you were wondering what day, if I want to go to Milwaukee Metal Fest, who's playing on what day, now you know. Biohazard, coming up soon with some more news in our show in a minute, is headlining Friday along with Dark Angel, Napalm Death, Dying Fetus, Corrosion and Conformity, Crowbar, and a bunch of other bands. Saturday night is headlined by Anthrax, Suicidal Tendencies, if you like the crossover thrash, the Black Dahlia Murder in their new incarnation, Shadows Fall, Obituary, Fear Factory, Terror, and many other bands. Sunday is headlined by Lamb of God, Machine Head in a rare festival appearance, After the Burial, The Halo Effect, Cephalic Carnage, and so many more bands. Jamie Josta has brought back Milwaukee Metal Fest, and I think we're going to try to cover it. I'm not sure yet what the dealio is with the press, but we're going to try to cover it. There's a couple of people who expressed interest in covering it here at Ghost Cult. Louder Than Life, another Danny Wimmer Fest similar to Aftershock, announced their whole lineup similar to the one we just got. Foo Fighters and Tool and Avenged Sevenfold again. Also Green Day as a headliner. The first time I think they've ever headlined the Danny Wimmer Festival, which is insane considering how successful they are. Weezer, Rancid, Godsmack, Limp Bizkit, Pantera, Falling in Reverse, Queens of the Stone Age, Turnstiles, Run the Jewels, Floggy Molly, Pierce the Veil, Megadeth, Corey Taylor Solo, Dance Gavin Dance, Coheed and Cambria, Royal Blood, Code Orange, and many more. Many more. Also, Cold Waves. If you like dancey industrial metal because you're angry and equal parts sad at the same time, Cold Waves has announced their first announcement for the Metro, Saturday, September 23rd. Frontline Assembly. We have an interview coming next week with Reese Fulber of Frontline Assembly that you do not want to miss here on YouTube and the socials. Frontline Assembly, a split-second 16-volt Acumen-Nasha Kanga, love Kanga, mutant, incredible artist I saw last year. J.K. Flesh, just an unbelievable lineup there. J.K. Flesh is Justin Broderick of Godflesh. I would love to see Godflesh get added to this, but usually if they announce J.K. or Justin's other projects, he doesn't also do Godflesh. But you never know. You never know. You just never know. You never know what you'll find. Time to Rock Fest, we mentioned them a few months ago. Their lineup is fleshing out for this July. Saxon, Michael Schechner Group, KK's Priest, Blind Guardian, Ailstorm, The Hooters, Dad, Tom Gabriel Warrior, trilogy of all his bands playing. Sham 69, The Answer reunited Irish rock band is back. Diamond Head, Ross the Boss, Marky Ramone's Blitzkrieg, Uli John Roth, Smash Into Pieces, Dream Evil. Amazing lineup. Steven Seagul's. If you like heavy metal and heavy metal is your jam, you want to go to this. And it's in Sweden. Sweden must be amazing. I've never been, but I have to go at some point, don't I? Portals Festival just announced more bands, including the sub-headliner Bosk. Portals Festival is kind of like a slightly avant-garde doom post-metal post-rock festival in the UK. And so I Watch You From Afar, as I mentioned, Bosk, Nordic Giants, A.A. Williams, who we love. Mono is one of the headliners. Maybe She Will. Svalbard, Gold, Pupil Slicer just announced a new record today. I think just too late for us to get into the show, but here's my opportunity to mention Pupil Slicer, new single and video. They're on this festival. Amazing. So worth checking that out. That's in May. A lot of festivals at the end of May. It is the beginning of summer. Oh, Godflesh. Oh, dude, Oblivion Access. We talked about them last week. Amazing. I'm deeply jealous. I want to go down there. I got to get down to Texas at some point and check out Dallas and Austin. One of these days. Rock for Ronnie. You have these events every year to benefit the Ronnie James Dio Stand Up to Cancer Fund. They have the Bowl for Ronnie, the Ride for Ronnie. This is a concert in the park, Rock for Ronnie. It's going to be kind of an all-star affair. I don't think there's typically one band named yet that's particularly an astounding name, but there's a lot of named people playing the fest that are all going to do Dio and Black Sabbath covers. So, like, you can't go wrong with that. And that's, I believe, in Orange County, Encino. So not quite Orange, sort of, the Los Angeles area, Encino. Los Encinos Park, in fact. So very cool. I love this poster with the Dio logo with the horns and the Dio headstock guitar. Fun times. We may or may not go down and cover that. We'll see. Sound on Soundfest for a little more pop and rock and other things. Red Hot Chili Peppers, John Mayer, Alanis Morissette, Trey Anastasio, Hoser, Dispatch, Ben Harper, Steel Pulse, Margot Price. I'm a fan. Maybe you're not, but Margot Price, not metal, but I like her. I've seen her live. Gin Blossoms, Deep Banana Blackout, and many others. That is coming this fall, I believe. End of fall. End of September, beginning of winter, just the beginning of autumn, actually. Sorry. Sick New World. I am actually going to this festival. I believe we're going to go cover it. I'm very excited. System of a Down, Korn, Deftones, Incubus, Evanescence, Turnstile, Chevelle, Papa Roach, Death Grips, Flyleaf, Mr. Bungle, KMFDM, Killing Joke, Stabbing Westward, Spirit Box, Kitty, Soulfly, POD, Seven Dust, Hoobastank, Cold, Melvin's Failure, My Life with the Thrill Kill Cult, coming up with them in a second, Narrowhead, Scowl, incredible lineup, Orgy, Cradle of Filth, just insane. And I think I'll be going there to do some interviews and cover the show. Heavy Psych Sounds is coming up real quick here in San Francisco and Joshua Tree next weekend, but they did announce their full lineup for Switzerland, which is their first event in Switzerland. Speaking of, I have an interview with the founder of the Heavy Psych Sounds label and the band Black Rainbows, and that's coming up next week, so stay tuned to that. Word up, Desert Fest NYC, I think we'll be there also. I've covered Desert Fest New York. I love it so. And I think our team just got approved for Desert Fest London. So that is very exciting. And we've covered Berlin and we've covered Antwerp I think they had Brussels one year. We covered it. So yeah, Desert Fest absolutely rules, by the way. And I'm excited to hear the rest of that lineup. That'll be later in the year. But Heavy Psych Sounds Switzerland are one of our favorite interviews of all time here on the channel. Maybe I'll link it on YouTube at this point. Truck Fighters, Bongzilla, new record coming soon. Nebula, Acid Mammoth, El Perro, Giobia, who has a new record coming soon, 1782. Witch Throat Serpent just put out a killer new record. Isaac, Witch Cult, just amazing lineup. Heavy Psych Sounds, great label. It's one of those labels. There's like maybe 10 or 15 record labels you literally can't go wrong with whatever music they put out. And that's one of them. I stand by that. I will die on this hill. Loud as Hell Festival is coming this August, and it is going to be crazy. A lot of death metal, Jungle Rot, Narcotic Wasteland, Insight, The Convalescent, Arrival of Autumn, Necronomicon. So many cool bands. Definitely check that out. Indeed. I live in California now. I don't live in New York City anymore. Instant cool. But I need to get on my horse and get together with Gimme Metal and get back on the air. It's been a minute. And Serpent Conjuration is here. One of my favorites. Hello. And Gimme Metal is a thrill to be a host on there several times. And I don't think we did anything to get kicked off. It just hasn't lined up for us to do the show. I'm hella busy. I have a new job and running Ghost Cult and everything else. So social media all the time. These thumbs hurt, putty. But yeah, I need to get back. I'm overdue for a visit. I think I might come back to New York, to the East Coast in general, for a visit for Metallica in August, and maybe hit up Boston and see my homies there and see some friends in New England. So yeah, that's definitely got to happen. This is awesome. I think we're coming to the end of the festival's Death Coffee Party 11 I believe is in Czech Republic, headlined by Malignancy, one of my favorite death metal bands ever, and another band we have interviewed here on the channel. Born from Pain, Putrid Pile, a bunch of illegible logos that I cannot read, Spasm. But what if you love death metal and you are somewhere in Central and Eastern Europe, Czech Republic always has a few incredible festivals, including Brutal Assault at an ancient fortress where they have like 170 bands over 4 days or 5 days. But Death Coffee Party 11 looks like a banger. And speaking of Malignancy, they have a headline show. It's probably their warm-up for a whole bunch of activities coming this year. They are playing St. Vitus Bar, one of my favorite places. I miss it so much. I haven't been in a while since I moved out west. But Malignancy is playing St. Vitus Bar at the end of April for you New York City people. Go support them, one of the best death metal bands to ever do it. Speaking of my life with the Thrill Kill Cult, they have announced the Evil Eye Tour with Adult and Kanga. What an incredible lineup if you like the dancey industrial stuff. My life with the Thrill Kill Cult legends, definitely in the top 15 ever in the genre, 10 to 15 range. Adult is awesome. Kanga, I'm a huge fan of. She's been teasing new music and touring a lot, so we're very excited to catch this tour. I think they're starting out west and heading east. That's the routing for that one. Alrighty, Emma Ruth Rundle is about to kick off a run of dates. She is going to play her last album, Engine of Hell, in its entirety. Emma Ruth Rundle is an incredible dark folk solo artist. She used to be in Red Sparrows and Marriages. She's incredibly talented. I believe I will be hitting up the San Francisco show in a week and a half. They have 2 shows. I'm not quite sold out yet. I think the rest of the tour is selling out quickly. So if you are a fan, you should get your tickets now. Biohazard has announced their first classic lineup reunion show for New York City. It's going to be at Irving Plaza, the scene of the crime of many of my favorite concerts of my entire life growing up in New York. We did an interview not too long ago with Billy Bio talking about how the band reunited and how I'm so stoked for this. This is going to be great. They are going to put out some new music this year or next year, at least a single or an EP. At the least, they've been working on stuff. So just very cool. Oh, the fog is cool. I can't see shit. It's tiny in there. There's no question. They should not ever have a fog machine at St. Vitus unless it's a black metal band. It's very tight in there. Moving right along. Jeff Beck, who passed away just a short while ago, they've announced 2 tribute concerts to him. I believe Eric Clapton is organizing it. I don't care much for Eric Clapton. Hey, Necronomicon, I think I just gave you guys a shout out in a previous rewatch the show when it's over and check out the shout out I think we gave you guys. But yeah, Jeff Beck, sad loss for the rock world. Guy was a legend for like 60 years of music. And there's going to be an all-star tribute concert to him in London. And the most of the money is going to go to his favorite charity, which I believe is Animal Welfare in the UK. Very good stuff. Oh, dude, Yob and Cave-In. I think technically Yob and Cave-In are playing the East Coast, and Yob and Pallbearer are playing the West Coast. I don't believe all 3 bands are on that whole tour. I'm not sure if the poster made it look that way or not, but that's my understanding. So we're going to get Pallbearer out here, which I love Cave-In also, but I'm good with either, but I would love all 3 selfishly. Does anybody else feel they see they get excited for a tour and then they find out like not all the bands are playing where in their city? I get mad. Gonna lean off camera. This green is like in my face, yo. All right. Anywho, back to the lecture at hand, as Dr. Dre would say. Dresden Dolls. Maybe some of you are fans. I'm a huge fan of Amanda Palmer and the Dresden Dolls, and they have announced 3 more shows. Little weekend shows where they take over a venue for a couple of days. So Denver, New Mexico, very exciting stuff. Dresden Dolls like inching their way back to being a full band. I believe they're going to have some new music at some point. Hopefully they can do a full tour at some point. Amanda's a mother now. Brian has other bands he's in. But I'm a big fan if you like the campy gothic rock music. And they always close with War Pigs by Black Sabbath. Off is kicked off, or about to kick off. They had kind of got off the road when Keith Morris was ill last year, but they're back to playing shows. They are kicking off a huge tour of the U.S. next month. Super stoked. Keith Morris, like 68 years old, still rocking out, still punk as F. So very cool. Does Dresden Dolls again. I went backwards off. Okay. We talked about the Winery Dogs. They're on tour right now. They announced West Coast dates that are coming for May. So LA, Anaheim, Solana Beach, which is north, Ventura, San Francisco, Fresno, Roseville, which is Sacramento, and Vegas. So more Winery Dogs before they head to Europe and play festivals and headline shows for the rest of the year. And then I believe they're going to announce South America and more of Europe in 2024. So no slowing down for the reunited and kicking ass Winery Dogs. New album 3 out now on 3 Dog Records. And you can hear our interview with Billy and hear all about it. Couple other random shows. Bleed the Fifth. I saw this poster pass by me on social media, and I was like, oh, this looks like I see Tommy Vext. I see Tim Young. I see Mark Rizzo. I see some other LA metal guys, and they're playing, I believe, the Whiskey. And they're calling themselves Bleed the Fifth. So if you are a fan of Divine Heresy, which Tommy was formerly a member of with Tim, you might want to check this out. I don't know how Dino Cazares feels about this, but probably not good. But Fear Factory's out on tour and they're pretty busy. But Bleed the Fifth would be interested to see. I know Tommy feels like he's banned and no one talks about him or anything. Whatever, bro. I'm not really paying attention to, some of the stuff he says and does, but like, I'd be interested to see this show if I was in LA. I want to hear Divine Heresy songs played live again, don't you? I do. Good luck to y'all. Havoc has announced a big tour. It's their first North American tour in ages. They're finally going to support this album 5 that came out during the pandemic. What bad luck. They put their record out right in the heart of the pandemic. And they have yet to they really haven't toured much except some local shows. So they're not toured. They've only played local shows. So Havoc is coming on tour, I think, with I Am and Body Snatcher. That sounds super sick. Machine Head has finally announced another run of dates they've been teasing. The Electric Happy Hour. So, a little bit of covers, a little bit of Machine Head, a little bit of whatever. And apparently more intimate venues, still an evening with Machine Head. You show up and it's just Machine Head for a few hours. That's what their comfort zone is. That's where they're staying. Vogue is definitely coming over for this tour. So that's exciting. You can get Vogue in the band with them again. And they'll have their actual whole band, their whole new lineup. So that's kind of cool. Machine Head, again, is also playing Milwaukee Metal Fest. They never play festivals. So the fact that they're doing Milwaukee Metal Fest and Blue Ridge Rock Fest is a surprise. Gates of Hell metal festivals later this year in the LA area. A lot of traditional heavy metal like Haunt and Hyrax and bands like that, I believe, are playing this at the Garden Amphitheater. We'll have the full lineup for you in a future installment. Bullet for My Valentine already announced last week that they were going to open for Megadeth on some shows in Canada. They just announced a headline tour in North America. It's kind of centered around some festival appearances, but they are going to play headline dates. From Ashes to New is opening. Good band. 5th Season Photography. What up, what up, what up? Thank you for being here at Ghost Cult's weekly rock and metal news show. We are almost to the end of the festivals and tour dates, and then on to some news. We're doing pretty good on time. I'm pretty good with this. Elder. No poster yet, but Elder has announced a big tour of Europe, starting off in Germany, where Nick DeSalvo of Elder lives now, has for many years. It's where he runs his record label out, Stickman Records. Elder, one of my favorite records of 2022. If you love psychedelic, stoner doom, if you wish Pink Floyd was also a doom metal band, Elder is for you. If you don't know Elder, get acquainted, as I like to say. And now for some interesting news. I don't know if anybody here is a big fan of Falling in Reverse. I'm not. I think they're a pretty mid band. I understand that people love that band. Metalcore is okay. They're okay. Some metalcore bands are really great, and some of them don't do it for me. So I'm probably not the fan base that's meant for Falling in Reverse. But they booked this big tour. And, Ronnie Radke is very controversial. He likes to start shit, kind of similar to Franz from Attila. They have had beef with each other. And Ronnie, has gone on a tear of late, attacking some people he didn't like in the business. He feels constantly attacked, so he's kind of on the defensive all the time. And so Spirit Box was signed on to be an opener on the popular Monstore tour, which is their new tour. They're headlining huge venues, almost arenas, which is like a shock to me that there's this many people that care about this band. And so Spirit Box signed on and was a little surprising to people. Ronnie has said some very questionable things. He feels like he's constantly being accused of stuff, but you also can't run away, nor should you, from stuff you do. If you're going to talk shit and, say homophobic things and be kind of, ratchet all over the internet and pick fights on Twitter, you're going to get called out by people. So own it and say, I did say those things. At least I'll say, I don't love everything Phil from All That Remains said. We definitely don't agree politically on anything. But, at least he takes responsibility for the stuff he says, whether he should or not. And so Ronnie, he's been on a tear of late. And so Spirit Box was getting needled by their fans, not just on Twitter, but just in general. I think there was some general disappointment about Spirit Box being on that tour. And so they have dropped off. It's only 6 dates, but they dropped off the tour. Look, it's a lot of money. Spirit Box is one of the most hyped and talked about bands of the last few years. I don't think it's going to hurt them. They shouldn't have probably said yes in the first place, but people are talking about this all over the interwebs, metal, Twitter, yada, yada. So I just thought I would talk a little bit about it. I don't care. Spirit Box, go with your convictions. Drop off the tour if you don't want to tour with this guy. Who cares? I don't think in 10 years, we'll probably be talking a lot more about Spirit Box than Falling in Reverse. Just my 2 cents. The Devastation of the Nation tour is not coming back in 2023. This just got posted today. This was sent to me by a friend on my little group of homies in a chat. And I'm bummed, but apparently they had a headliner booked and then they couldn't say yes or agree. And so, yeah, Devastation on the Nation, that's a bummer. That's always a good festival. It's always a good tour, a lot of death metal and deathcore. It's a bummer. It's hard right now for touring. We're going to talk a minute about it's hard on fans. It's hard on bands. We've been talking a lot about merch cuts. We've been talking about these venues. We've been talking about the cost of fuel, the lack of tour buses, the lack of crew. It's crazy. And so The Cure this week put tickets on sale. They announced the big tour, and we mentioned it a while back. And then they put their tickets on sale, and they were like, we are dedicated to making the tickets affordable for our fans. $20 or $30 max. And Ticketmaster said, hold my beer. We're going to make sure we get our money. So we're going to charge service fees on every ticket that makes the service fees more than the cost of the ticket. As I said many times, we have taken advertising money from Live Nation to promote tours like Wardruna. So I felt like it was in the service of helping a band we love and have supported and interviewed and held up and helped them get to where they are. Merch cuts is a big deal right now, but like also these tickets, man, this is gouging, plain and simple. Like The Cure went out of their way. They should have some dominion to say like, no, they should be able to set the fee schedule. Like this is egregious. $46 on 4 tickets for a service fee. What is the facility charge of $40? And why is there an order processing fee for something you got on the internet that doesn't take any energy or work or any infrastructure that's been built decades ago? I don't understand. But good on The Cure for trying to have an inexpensive show and an inexpensive tour. And for anybody that got $20 tickets, awesome. Or $30 tickets, awesome. I saw some people talking about like the lawn, and maybe like old people either they do the lawn or they don't do the lawn anymore. But yeah, man, this is wild. A lot of bands are, by the way, saying that they will just not sell merch anymore at shows because they don't want to have to give the merch cut up. It's a quarter of their money all the time, and it's crazy. The Jackknives is here. Hello. So, it's just it's just the high cost of touring, the high cost of living. Life is just getting harder and harder, y'all. I think there's a Disturbed song about this, but I don't want to sing or quote a Disturbed song. You know what I'm saying? On to the regular news. We went through the festival news. We went through the tour news. I didn't really put up the tour news banner. The news rundown. Let's see. I remember when I was okay with paying a Ticketmaster fee when there wasn't an internet. Dude, I used to love going to the box office. I used to line up at 5 a.m. on Boston Road in the Bronx to go to the Rite Aid that had the Ticketmaster, and half the time the person that worked there was new and they didn't know how to work the Ticketmaster, and it took them a few minutes to put the sale in, and the tickets were getting gone. And I can't tell you how many shows were sold out or almost sold out, and we ended up in the nosebleeds because somebody didn't know what they were doing. But it was a little more pure because, you know, if you were a scalper, you had to be there in person. You couldn't have devices doing the work for you. But again, is scalping just part of the free market and people are just buying up tickets and reselling them? Because Live Nation and Ticketmaster are totally part of the secondary market. They created their own scalping system where they don't release all the tickets and they resell those, but they sell them for thousands of dollars and they call them resale tickets, but they're not. I'm pretty sure that's price gouging and illegal. So we'll see what happens. But in the news this week, this is mind-blowing, and I honestly, I probably should go on Twitch tomorrow or over the weekend and do a whole live stream just on this next story. So Rolling Stone, not everybody's first choice for music news anymore, has, you know, they like to do listicles. We don't do a lot of listicles here at Ghost Cult, but Rolling Stone did their list of the top 100 heavy metal songs of all time. So heavy metal is a broad term. That could mean anything. We use heavy metal very generally here at Ghost Cult. We know it could mean anything. But top 100 songs ever is really saying something for a genre that's 50 years old. And old is the key word, because this list is a lot of old bands. And obviously the classic bands are always going to have a high ranking place in our hearts. Fall of Leviathan is here. But like, yeah, it's a terrible monopoly, the tickets. But so Rolling Stone does their top 100. And this list is kind of trash. I love a lot of these bands, and I think what it is they tried to give themselves a pat on the back, which I thought was pretty funny. They were like, "Oh, you know, this is the same crew of writers that did they did like a bunch of lists 10 years ago. They did a bunch of lists 20 years ago at the turn of the millennium. Top 500 bands of all time, top rock albums of all time." That's not a selling point for me. Those lists were garbage, and even when they were reevaluated, they still weren't good. So I'll just summarize and say this. Like, it's great to have Metallica, Ozzy, Iron Maiden. It's great to have a couple of, you know, it's cool to see Power Trip on there. It was cool to see Machine Head on there. It's cool to see Dillinger Escape Plan on there. Cool to see Crowbar on there. But, like, there's only like 5 or 6 bands from the last 30 years of metal. All these bands are, with a few exceptions, your Gojiras and your Mastodons, most of these bands are from the 70s and 80s. And, again, if you're going to call it heavy metal is not rock. So I love Led Zeppelin and I love Deep Purple and I love a lot of these bands. They're not metal. Immigrant Song is not metal. I love Immigrant Song. It's not metal. It might have influenced metal. It's not metal. So like, this list needs to get analyzed and picked apart, and I can't do it in this brief show, but I feel like I'm probably going to do a live stream on this. I'm going to start streaming on Twitch. Tell me guys in the comments what you'd like to see me talk about. There will be many freeform shows and there will be some structured ones. So this is a thing we're working on for the future. I'm going to start doing some streaming, and then maybe I'll re-upload those shows here and on Instagram. We'll see how they go. Lars Ulrich doesn't understand to this day why people don't like Lulu, the album they did with the late great Lou Reed. I'm an eclectic music listener. I love metal and rock more than, you know, most people love their kids. But I also like a lot of other genres, and I love Lou Reed in particular. I grew up listening to him. And I'm going to tell you, I'm the person that record was made for, and I hate it. It sucks, and it's horrible, and I can never get that time of my life back that I spent trying to listen to it to review it. And Lou Reed's final book, sort of a memoir, sort of a book about his music, has come out, and Lars was interviewed about the book and working with Lou, and he's like, I think it's just ignorance by the fans. I don't understand why they don't like it. They don't like it because it's not good. It wasn't good. It was a bad marriage. Like, I understand that it was invigorating for them to work together. Even to this day, Kirk is like, I wasn't really sure about doing this record, you know? Like, I don't know why Lars insisted on this. James was very into it, and it was cool. And when Lou got in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, they played together. That's really cool, but I don't understand why Lars says it's like, time's going to tell on that one, man. Crush Groove is better than Breakin'. No, it's not. No, it's not. To quote one of my favorite, to quote Dogma by Kevin Smith. Whose house? Run's house. Anyway, Lars, get a clue. I love you, but get a clue. This is exciting. Now some fun news. Empire State Bastard. That's how I'm going to say it because I'm from Empire State and I'm a bastard. Empire State Bastard's a brand new grindcore metal band made up of two of the members of Biffy Clyro, not a big band in North America, but a huge band in Europe. Headlined festivals in Europe, not that big in America. And Dave Lombardo, who is in 100 albums this year. I don't understand, when does this guy sleep or take the shit? I don't know when, because he's got so many albums, and he's touring with Mr. Bungle and Suicidal. Like, oh my gosh, unreal. Empire State Bastard, they teased their first single. I think it's coming next week. So probably in a few weeks on this show, we'll be able to talk about the song. Maybe I'll do a Twitch review of the first song if it comes with a video or something. That would be fun. But I'm excited. Grindcore and Biffy Clyro is like, I did not expect on my bingo card to have Biffy Clyro does a grindcore band with Dave Lombardo. Very, very cool. Looking forward to this. Bandcamp is trying to unionize. This is really great, or they have unionized, and good for them. Bandcamp was bought last year by Epic Games, who makes Fortnite. Bandcamp is really the only music service that kind of pays a fair wage to bands based on what they sell. They take a small portion. They do have the Bandcamp Fridays where they waive all their fees. And I understand that there's some challenges. People have had trouble with Bandcamp. Apparently, Canadian bands have had some trouble with Bandcamp and getting payments. I'm not trying to dog them, but that's been a thing that I've heard. But Bandcamp is unionizing, and I'm all for it. That's awesome. They're right here in my backyard in Oakland. Hey, Bandcamp, if you ever need a social media marketer, I'm your guy. Come at me. Look at this content I'm bringing for free. I know my stuff. I would love to work at Bandcamp. Kitty Morgan Lander gave a recent interview where she said that in addition to playing some special shows, last year they reunited for the first time in 5 or 6 years at Blue Ridge Rock Festival and When We Were Young Fest. This year they're playing Sick New World. I can't wait to see them. They are starting to discuss making some new music together with the current lineup they have. Both Morgan and Mercedes Lander have separate bands. Ivy has been retired and into motherhood while her husband is off in his punk and metalcore bands. And so it'd be very cool to get Tara McLeod is still rocking on guitar. So it'd be very cool to get some new Kitty music eventually. If they're not already recording it, it's probably not coming out this year. It would be fun if they dropped a digital single or something. But yeah, I'm here for some new Kitty. Motley Crue. This is an old picture of Motley Crue if you're watching on YouTube, Twitch, or Facebook. But this is a big story this week. So Motley Crue's on tour and with Def Leppard. They'll continue the stadium tour or some version of the stadium tour. They're hitting South America soon. And so Mick Mars had announced his retirement last year, and John 5 just started to play live with Motley Crue. There was a story this week where Carmine Appice was interviewed and said, Mick was really unhappy the whole end of the time he was in the band because they were like everything was on tape. And we know that Vince Neil's got their backing vocals. I'm not here to say that playing on tapes in the background are bad. A lot of major bands do it. A lot of old bands that can't perform like they used to rely on tape. That's okay to me. I think entire bands that manufacture all their sound on laptops and tapes is not a live band. That's karaoke. But that's me, and I'm older, and I like seeing bands play live. So Mick Mars apparently was mad that there was a lot, the solos, a lot of extra guitars. They're all, even though he was out there suffering with his illness. Happy birthday, OJC Picks. Omar, we gave you a shout out at the top of the show. You should go back and watch it later. Mick Mars is unhappy that he's very unhappy that they were using tapes. And I wonder if this wasn't what led to his retirement from the band. And he's well within his rights to retire. But, he was apparently very angry. The word angry was used. Angry about everything being recorded and him not getting to play as much. Because if he was going to go through the trouble of touring, he wanted to play. So, very interesting. We're almost to the end of the show here, folks. Right as we went to press, Ryan McCombs is back in Drowning Pool. The Soil frontman has been in and out of Drowning Pool. Drowning Pool's had a different singer for the last 10 years. Ryan was a pivotal member of the band for a while. He's on 2 records with them in the early aughts. He is actually going to play his first show tomorrow as we record this tonight. Or as you're watching this, he's going to play on March 17th in Florida with Drowning Pool. And hopefully they're going to make some new music together. The former singer is out of the band. He was in for 10 or 11 years, Jason Moreno, and Ryan is back. And apparently, from what I could extrapolate from the news story, from the quotes, it sounds like he's going to do both bands at the same time. It's always been like, I can only do one or the other. So he's going to do two bands, double duty. It'd be cool if they toured together. I don't know if he could vocally do a whole like 3 hours of screaming and singing, but he's got a great voice. I'd love to see it. And this photo, if you're watching this, was shot by Luke Denham. Rest in peace, Luke Denham, former Ghost Cult magazine photographer. It's coming up on a year soon since we lost him. So I like to try to occasionally drop in one of his photos. Death Clock. We already know that there's 2 festivals Death Clock is playing at least this year, if not more, going to get announced. And we've been waiting patiently for some news from Brendan Small. We're supposed to get a movie. We might get a new full album. There could be a new series. He doesn't own the IP fully, but I know a lot of Death Clock fans are stoked, and I just like seeing this image and knowing in my brain that Death Clock is coming back soon. So I'm very excited about this. I hope you are too. Also announced this week, finally, I was talking about Avenged Sevenfold last week. Now they are finally dropped a new single called Nobody. It was pretty cool, like an epic rock song, more of the same of what they were doing on the stage. Part of me kind of wishes they would go backward and do maybe not a metalcore thing, but their little Guns N' Roses Metallica rock. Not quite Hail to the King, but a little more, something a little more condensed. Do a 3-minute rock song instead of these like 7-8 minute epic rock metal songs. But they had a pretty fun video. And their new album, Life is But a Dream, is coming out. And they announced 2 shows, one in LA and one in New York City, arena shows. Those are on sale tomorrow. And I think they're going to probably both sell out because the Avenged Sevenfold is one of those bands they've been like dragging it out for a long time when they were going to come back. So Life is But a Dream, or Libad, which is their new album coming from Warner Music this summer, Avenged Sevenfold. Cool album cover, like a little different for them. They're a very consistent band. Devin is here. What's up, homie? How is Finland? Tell us stories of the fjords. I don't think there are fjords in Finland. I just like saying that. All right. Health has butt plugs. I don't know. I don't have any other intro for this, but we've had the Gore adult sex toys. We've had the Ghost adult sex toys, and now Health, the industrial rock metal band, is selling anal plugs on tour. You can buy them from the band on tour at their merch table, all the way from Finland, mofo. glowfyourself.com. I probably get demonetized just for saying glow F yourself, but we're already, all the way in. So you just got to close your nose and go all the way in. Lex Pistols is here. What's up, Lex Pistols? So Health is selling butt plugs. Fill up your butthole with some Health, and fill up your ear holes with some Health because they rock. Oh, that's sick, bro. Send me the info. And we're getting to the end of the show, man. I have seen like 3 shows in the last week, and I feel like hell. So this funny meme here, if you're watching on the other channels, after 5 minutes in the pit when you're 38, I'm all right. Let me just sit here for a minute before I knock out from that's one of the great movies I've ever seen. But I don't think I actually did I put up the image for this? Oh, I didn't. That is the wrong image. But I have my mailbag section. We're almost at the end of the show here. And I wanted to share this cool thing that I got. I don't often do, when I do vinyls, I don't often do 45s. But I have some really cool 45s, and I wanted to start talking about them. So I got this really cool 45, Purple Haze, from a few years back for the 51st anniversary of Purple Haze. This is probably like 3-4 years old. I got this from Brooklyn Vegan, who has a lot of good stuff. Brooklyn Vegan, shout out to them for pinning one of our interviews this week on their homepage. Wow. In a story. And, I got this 45. Purple Haze is one of the first songs I ever played. Like a lot of people, is one of the first songs I ever played music to. And I love Jimi Hendrix and respect and love Jimmy for all he's ever done for music. So I got this 45 of Purple Haze. Side 1 is the original Purple Haze recording. And then side 2 is sort of remastered for the 51st anniversary by Eddie Kramer. So kind of cool. And then I don't know, here's the cover, if you can see it on all the channels and things. I'll put myself back up on the full screen so you can see. Let's see. Move. Here I am. So yeah, so you can see it fully. Here's the full cover. And then I don't know if you'll be able to appreciate this or not, but I wanted to show you this gorgeous purple vinyl. It's like a very rich purple. And I want, just so in case you can see it, purple is one of my favorite colors. Maybe my favorite color, actually, beside black. I'll stop wearing black when they make a blacker black. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, man, that's our show. Thanks for being here. Again, you can now give a super thanks or a super chat on YouTube Shorts. If you came here from YouTube Shorts or YouTube videos, feel free to drop us a donation. If you're here on TikTok, Instagram, wherever else, Twitch, throw us a follow, throw us a like, throw us some money. $1 even would help. We like it. We'll put it toward our beer tab this weekend when we go to more shows. Stay tuned to Ghost Cult Mag for more things. And again, I have been Ghost Cult Keefe. Thanks so much for being here, and enjoy your weekend. Be safe and stay as metal as humanly possible.